welcome to Recall the Midwife. Today we have watched Series 4, Episode 8 and are discussing it. I'm Alex.
I'm Becky.
I'm Jenn, and a reminder that this week's episode deals with severe alcoholism and addiction, LGBTQ issues, discussions of death and dying, and disability issues. So if those are topics you would prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one.
In this week's episode, Nonata's house celebrates the engagement of Fred and Violet, but the lead up to the wedding doesn't run smoothly when Fred's daughter Marlene returns to Poplar. Marlene plants a seed of doubt and Violet calls off the engagement, leaving Fred to wallow and neglect his duties. Chummy returns to Poplar for a 2-week course at the London. She doesn't return alone as she's accompanied by Mater's ashes. It's the anniversary of her death and Chummy plans to scatter her ashes to mark the date and lay her to rest. Barbara treats Maureen Gadsby, who tells everyone that her husband is away at sea, but actually he's in prison. Maureen is suffering from severe morning sickness, and once Dr. Turner diagnoses her, he prescribes a new wonder drug, which contains thalidomide. It appears to be a wonder drug. Trixie and Sister Mary Cynthia tend to June Dillon. June and her husband Kevin have moved to Poplar from Manchester. June is deaf, so they plan that her husband will be present at the birth. Delia has hatched a plan to live with Patsy in a flat share, but tragedy strikes when she borrows Patsy's bike to get to work. She's hit by a car and suffers a head injury. When she wakes up, she has no memory of Patsy, and her mother plans to take her back to South Wales to recover. Trixie's struggle with alcohol comes to a head, and she reaches out to the Samaritans. Sister Mary Cynthia overhears her plea for help and comes to her aid. There's a lot. I say this every week. There's a lot going on this week.
There is,
but we all say it, and each episode of ours is getting like 3 hours long.
But you know what, girls? I actually thought about this. This is one of our like truly saddest episodes in a while. I mean, we've had sad episodes before, but like we had a run where like everything in the episodes was so sad, and then there was kind of some lighter parts. But like this episode really broke.
But it does have some joy, doesn't it?
It does have some joy, but it to me, like the majority of this episode ends up really tragic, like really sad, or just something really heavy that you kind of have to sit with as you're watching it. And the other thing I realize is the episode after this is a Christmas special, which means this was the series finale for this cycle. So like this is the note everyone got left on for like 6 or 8 months while they were waiting for the Christmas special to come around, which I just thought, oh my God, like what a like really tragic cliffhanger in a lot of ways for a lot of these people in Nonatus. Anyways.
It's true. It's true.
Should we talk about Marlene strutting her way back into Poplar?
I do want to talk about her, but let's talk. Well, but I also want to finish on Fred and Violet in a way because I just want it to be a happy thing to look forward
to.
Yeah,
let's come back to them then.
I do want to say though, just really quick, proper little gold mine. The way she said it.
Marlene is great.
Star blue like your mother's eyes. She was a right madam, wasn't she? Anyway, right. Which storyline are we doing first, girls?
So we've got Maureen Gadsby and we've got June Dillon.
Should we do Maureen first, get it out of the way because it's kind of quick. Sad but quick.
Oh, I know. You're just willing her not to take the medication.
Oh God. Oh God. I really feel for her because the kind of what's the name of what she has again? Because there's a specific name for this. It's way beyond morning sickness.
Oh no, sorry. Gravidat
it's
hyperemesis?
Yeah, gravidarum. We do this we look like absolute. We're not morons. We're actually quite clever.
I think hyperemesis is the name of the disease, but basically
it's hyperemesis gravidarum. It sounds like a spell from Harry Potter.
It really does. It really does.
Hyperemesis gravidarum.
just like that, you know, like Akuma Mama's Kabadooba thing from like a few weeks ago with the baby who had brittle bone disease. But it's really bad. Like this woman literally can't even smell a food. Even thinking about a cup of tea makes her feel nauseous. I mean, it's bad.
Let's talk about when we first met her. So we met her when she was in the clinic waiting to be seen.
Yeah.
And she sat. Can I just say, she was sat next to this woman, and she's like, "All right, Maureen, not seen you for a while." And this woman's feeding this baby, right? Now, this baby was fed bacon, macaroni, and tomato out of a tin, right? That sounds disgusting cold anyway, right? But the fact that she was feeding a baby, did you see this baby? Everyone needs to go back and see the baby. This baby was 1.5 months, 2 months, if that. It was the most ridiculous thing to say it was feeding a baby. That baby was not eating anything but milk, mate. It couldn't even sit up. It just looked like a boiled cabbage.
I didn't even notice the baby. I was like, I got too distracted by Maureen literally vomiting into her purse, which I thought was the most
you need
comedy
to go back
thing.
and look at the baby, because that baby should not be on solids.
I've never vomited in my purse, but I did. I was sat at work one day and I knocked over a whole cup of tea, and the tea just travelled across the desk and then it poured down into my handbag sat on the floor.
I have been sick in my purse before, in my bag before. I've been sick everywhere.
I've vomited into a bag, but not into my purse. So lucky for me on that one. But
do you remember that time? This is disgusting, so we probably might have to cut it. But do you remember that time we all went out at uni, and then basically I think there was like the vodka was off or something. Everyone was being sick, like more than normal, and there was only like 2 sick bags on the bus. And they were just everyone was just being sick into the same sick bags on this bus. It was the most disgusting. It was so awful.
I love how we're saying that vodka went off, like as if it can go.
Yeah, I think it was the volume that people were drinking, not
no, because it was people who never. I remember my friend. Remember Metcalf? She was never sick, and she was sick loads that night. And loads of other people who normally were fine were just sick loads. And there was something going on that night.
No, I agree. There was something going on, but it had to be something with another product, not the vodka. I mean, I think vodka is like basically an antiseptic. Like
maybe the battery acid that went with it.
Something else was untoward, but not the vodka.
Acid it was mixed with, yeah.
Oh,
but yeah, I had morning sickness, and it was nowhere near this, but it was bad. Like it was for 5 months, and it was just every morning sick. I was sick throughout the day. It was just awful. And everyone always says, "Oh, girl, like great." Like, what do you say to that? Like, great, thanks.
Wait, I was gonna say, what did everyone say? You made it sound like people say,
"Girl, oh, it's a girl." If you're sick,
people really say that. Oh, yeah. I didn't think that was a real thing.
Sister Evangelina said it in the episode.
Yeah, she did.
I don't know why vomiting a lot would have anything to do with the gender of the baby. I mean, that is truly one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, are we still in the Stone Age? Like that's.
Well, then sometimes they say it's going to be twins if people vomit a lot.
Yeah, and if you've got really bad acid reflux, they have loads of hair.
Oh Lord! I mean, truly, this is where you're just like, wow, we were living in the dark ages for.
Well, it's annoying though, Jen, because my mum was like, "Oh, it's definitely going to be a girl."
Well, the thing is, it sounds like the people saying that sound about as like it sounds exactly the same way you hear back in Middle Ages, where people are like, oh, their humors have been displaced, like take a tincture of tansy and daffodil leaves and wild rabbit's foot, and then stir it up into a brew, and walk around 3 times from an oaken tree. It's just like, what are you talking about? This is all insane. None of this makes sense. And that's exactly
they've got a 1 in 2 chance of getting it right anyway, so that's just the annoying thing. They think they're right, but actually they weren't. Yeah, but Sister Evangelina was also like, oh, do you know what'll get you through this? Mind over matter. That's what'll get you through this. So, do you know what? They've had so many people over the years. There's not one chance they've not had someone have it badly. Maybe not this badly. But, the way that, what do you call her? Sheila was just like, oh, yeah, see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and by the way...
Sheila was just like, oh, I think it's just anxiety.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so dismissive. But the other thing too is now, okay, we've all felt all the range of like discomfort in our own bodies. Okay, if I was going to pick anything to feel like that I could have mind over matter and like just power through, any kind of nausea or digestion issue would be the last thing I would put in that category. Like I can do mind over matter when it comes to a stuffy nose, aches and pains, even a headache I can try to kind of power through. If something is going wrong with my tummy and something's either going to come out of me one direction or the other, it's not going to be something I can put behind me. Like that, like I am pressing shut down, like the whole system is off. Like we're just, no. You don't just power through that. Like,
see, I'm really good at being sick. That makes me sound really weird. No, but I can be sick and be fine. Like I can just be sick and just carry on. But I'm one of them people I've got a weak stomach. I'm kind of used to it. I'm not got an eating disorder, might I just add really quickly. But I am good at being sick and then I'm okay.
But this is the thing, if you
constant,
throw up, if you throw up, you feel better.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, oh, it's gone. But like the feeling of being nauseous, like before you've thrown up,
exactly, yeah.
you can't do anything when you have that
But this
feeling.
is just constant. You're sick and then you feel nauseous, but you've got nothing to
know.
bring up.
I know.
Also,
I
can
mean,
we talk about Neil only having Farley's rusks all day?
Poor Neil.
oh, I love rusks. Actually, rusks is a thing I never learned about until I was in the UK. I never knew what those were
What? Do
before
you know
that.
rusks in America?
So you can get them here. I've definitely seen them, but I see them at like international stores and things like that when we shop at those kind of places. And usually it's like if we go to like the halal store or something in my neighborhood. But basically, like for anybody who's listening, maybe probably American listeners, a rusk is basically it's like a cake that's like twice baked, so it turns into kind of like this crisp. It's
Well, I'd
it's
say
like
a
not
biscuit.
yeah, it's a biscuit, but it's like more crumbly than that. It's like they're kind of soft, but they also take a lot like they're good for like dunking in tea or like little kids, like can eat them and then they can kind of, while they're teething
Well,
and
I
things
think
like
they're
that.
quite
They're taste
hard,
nice.
and then you've got to have a lot of like moisture on them to get them soft. I think that's why they give them to babies for like teething and stuff because it's a lot of
Yeah,
sucking on them to get them soft.
exactly. But they're crumbly. They're like imagine like a different version of like a biscotti is how I think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
I really like a rusk. I really fancy one. I've not had one for
they're
since
good.
my daughter was tiny.
I don't know that I think if I've had them, I've had them as a baby, so I don't know.
Right, listeners special. Becky's trying a rusk. And
Oh yeah.
oh, do you know what, Bex? I bet rusks and Horlicks is actually really nice.
Horlicks go
Oh, I
together.
bet that would
Yeah,
taste really nice. Yeah,
it
yeah,
would.
yeah. I can even get
Anyway,
some rusks for that.
back on to
Yeah.
Maureen. So she's really struggling, and Barbara
Yeah.
goes to visit her on a home visit, and she finds out that Neil's only had Farley's rusks all day. He's crying his head out.
Yeah.
She's just absolutely not coping, and then she collapses. So, so they sort out now. Barbara sorts out a nursery space for Neil so that she can actually recover. And Evangelina says like, "Oh, you're full of compassion and common sense. You'll do." And I just thought it's very rare she hands out compliments.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was so good.
and just a word to say, she is also very early in her second trimester, I think. Like she does not have a big baby bump at all. So they kind of think they think they have to put Neil into some kind of, social service system or something like that
Yeah,
because if
yeah,
they don't have
foster
a
care.
solution for the issue that his mom is having, then they can't send them home together because
Oh,
I
but
mean
also his dad's gone to prison and he's already
I
crying for
know.
his dad.
I know.
And
I
so she's
know.
like, he can't lose me too. And he has to go into foster care. And also, foster care sounds so daunting. Like, no one would want to put the child into foster care, you know?
No, no. And not for like 6 months and then have him back after you have a you know what I mean? Like that just
Yeah.
seems like it's really I mean there's not a lot of good options, which is why they do try to find a medical like a drug solution for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really sad. And the thing is, Sheila says to Dr. Turner, like, oh, what do we have for isn't there anything we can do? And he's like, let me look through the things because we had some drug reps come and maybe I've got something here. And they are really excited when they find out that they can give her, well, the name of the drug, the brand name is Distaval, but it's a thalidomide based medication. But
More
she's
on that in future episodes.
oh yeah. But
Now, do we see Maureen in future episodes? I can't remember.
I couldn't
I
remember either.
I don't think we do because the thalidomide storyline that we see in the future, it's not it doesn't have anything to do
It's
with
Susan
her.
Mullins, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's another one as well. There's another person, but it's not. I don't think it's her. But we'll go back. We'll have
We'll
to.
get there, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just sad because it's like you think that this is a happy outcome, and then as soon as Dr. Turner and Sheila are standing there talking to her about it, she's like, "Oh, work's a treat. Like, thank you so much." She's like, "I'm gonna tell everyone. You'll have them lining about the door. Like, order as many as you can." And then you hear the word thalidomide because he says that's the main ingredient that makes it possible for it to stop the nausea, and you're just like, no, 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 and oh God. So even that quote happy ending is really sad.
Not a happy ending, yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. But I will say when little Neil walked in with his little pea coat and everything, and she said, "Oh, my little man," and he had his hair combed to the side, and he just strut right in there and gave his mom a big hug. Oh my gosh, that little boy is so cute.
He was
I
so
loved
cute.
him. Yeah. Anyways, so okay, so that's kind of her taken care of. and we've all told everyone about our vomit stories. So definitely cross that off the list. We've been to get that in for
I've got
weeks,
more, Jen.
everybody.
I've got more.
Yeah, just tell us if you want to hear more about all those times we were sick to our stomachs in public places, and we'll roll out the red carpet.
I've got thousands of them. Anyway,
Okay, so next one.
should we do June Dillon?
Yeah, and I have a soft spot for Kevin Dillon, who's just the loveliest man.
And he didn't wink.
He didn't wink. But he won me over.
He saw a beautiful girl across the room and decided, you know what I'm going to do? I am literally going to learn a language from scratch so that I can go out on a date with her. If that is not enough to send you to the absolute moon and back, oh my word. He is definitely one of we've talked about it before, but in the pantheon of absolutely adorable men on this show, he gets a spot in that group because he is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Loved him.
To be fair, I also loved him.
And you're not very much one to get your head turned, Al, so that says a lot.
Yeah, not by any of these 1950s men. But man in the room, I've written here in loads of exclamation marks.
What does that mean?
About the fact that he was there for the first appointment because he's the only one who could do sign language with her. But also, Trixie was saying how he's going to be in the room with her, and Barbara agreed. And I really liked Nurse Crane's story about an artistic family in Leeds.
Family.
But what did she say? She said, we thought we'd try it, and then it ended up with more than a few people fainting before all was said and done.
We had a fainting episode. Suffice to say, it wasn't the woman.
That would be me.
Yeah, same.
Oh my gosh. Also, did you notice that when Kevin walked in, he said, "Hello, beautiful," to his wife, which I know that's just like a simple thing to say, but I don't know. It just was so sweet. I just couldn't get over him. He was just the most adorable. And her too. I mean, together they were just such a sweet couple, but
also, I think he did well not to turn up at Nonata's house to knock Nurse Crane out. When they answered the phone.
When she called her a little deaf and dumb girl.
Yeah, answered the phone. Of course, the little deaf and dumb lady. What?
Oh, I know. I heard that too, and it was so disappointing.
Well, anyway, so they rang Nonata's house thinking she was in labour, but she wasn't. It was actually Braxton Hicks, which is very common apparently, especially on this show. But then June was really upset, and she did the most gorgeous speech. Oh, made me cry about being scared about understanding a child. Like it's when you can hear or see it, when you're absolutely able-bodied, you're absolutely terrified of how you're going to bond with this child and everything like that. Like it's natural to feel like that, but for her to that, and she was like, I need to hold him to tell him how he's loved, and if he's deaf or not, she wants to know how she's going to communicate with him, and she's so anxious to know, and oh God, it broke my heart.
Well, yeah, and I think she said, and I'm gonna not correct me on this, girls, but she says you're either going to not be able to communicate with me, or you either won't be able to hear your father's voice, or you won't be able to hear like the world around you, and both of those things make me very sad and like very scared, and like so like if I can just hold you in my arms, like if she's like if I can just hold my baby in my arms, then I can like kind of resolve this fear that I have, but I won't be able to do that until I meet them. And you know what, honestly, I'll just have to say this for myself. Having a disability like deafness or like blindness or things like that, they're not uncommon, but as a person who has not ever had to deal with any of those things, there's a lot about it I never even thought of. And so this episode really shed a light on something that I honestly, it just doesn't cross my mind a lot. And I was a bit embarrassed actually to kind of admit to myself as I was watching this episode that a lot of the very practical concerns that they have around that family and bringing a baby into it, I just had never even thought about it. And I was like, wow, like truly, like, and I mean, I was 100% on board with wanting them to have everything they needed and wanting it to be a safe environment, but the concern around how, what happens when the baby's crying, or what happens, if she's the only one there, and all this kind of stuff. And then even just the most practical consideration of like the birth and everything, and it
was a bit like, why is Sister Evangelina not being a bit more progressive on this? I know it's a man, but at the same time, they need to be able to communicate with the person giving birth.
I agree. I will say,
like basic sign language just isn't going to cut it when you're giving birth, surely.
Yeah, like cervix.
Yeah, cervix and vagina. Trixie was like, we stumbled quite a bit on those, but I think we found our way. And Yeah, I will say Sister Evangelina she doesn't put up as much of a fight over this one as she usually does. I think because she knows there's really not a good solution other than the one that they already thought of. It did make me laugh that Cynthia was like, "Oh, I have taken a sign language course. I'll give Trixie some pointers and everything." I was like, "Of course, Cynthia. Of course you have." Like, so classic you to have like already done something like that, you know?
Oh, but anyway, she did give birth and she had a baby boy with her husband there, and it was a beautiful
Yeah.
moment, and they did really well, and it was just absolutely heartwarming.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I was crying all throughout. Big surprise, but man, yeah,
Now,
just
speaking
sobbing
of
like a baby.
heartwarming, shall we do Delia and Patsy?
Oh, Delia
Oh,
and Patsy.
oh man. Another heartbreaker, absolutely.
Oh, well, so Delia and Patsy are obviously in a relationship, secret relationship together, and they're gorgeous together, and I just love them so much, and I really like both their fringes so much. I've got a
They have
fringe. I
good
rock a
hair.
fringe. Yeah, they do. Anyway, Delia, her building where she's staying at the moment is being not
Knocked
half of
down.
it's being knocked down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically can get some money towards getting renting places on their own and stuff. So she's basically saying to Patsy that they should get a flat share together, two girls singing, living together. Not even a nun would bat an eyelid, right? Amazing, right? So
Hmm.
Trixie, not Trixie, Patsy's a bit like oh at first, and then she's you can see she's getting excited. And then when she speaks to Sister Julienne about moving out of an arse, she's like, I don't have to live there. It's just offered as some sort of perk. So anyway, she then goes to Sister Julienne to say she wants to move out. And then she's like, oh, how come? And she's like, I have a confession. And I thought she can't. And she didn't. She was just like, I've just never lived on my own.
Oh, see, we didn't get that deleted scene. That was one of our deleted
Oh,
ones. But I'm sure it was lovely. But yeah, yeah.
well, anyway.
It was Patsy saying that she'd never like been responsible for paying bills or like taking care of herself. And then
Mm.
Sister Julienne was like, me neither.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Wouldn't I wish I could say the same,
Well,
honestly.
to be fair though, she is because she's the one in charge of like all the bills there and stuff. Like there's all, in later series, it's all on her, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all on
That's
her now.
nonsense. Nonsense.
Well, the thing is, Sister Julian is just always the most like comforting and empathetic and magnanimous person. I mean, even if she's like literally carrying the world on her shoulders, she'll be like, "I relate. I can find a way to commune with you on your
True.
feelings of whatever." I mean, she just,
Well, did you see the bits where Patsy and Delia were there in their outfit with the stripy tops and their hat and everything?
what do you mean hat?
Patsy had she had like a beret thing and then she had like a stripy Breton like top on and like slat. She looked amazing. I just love her.
I mean, the scenes with them were like Delia telling her about the opportunity to get a flat, then they were searching for a flat, then they were in the flat, and then the other stuff happened after that. So
Did
that
you see
was
Delia on a bike?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The first bit when she was really, really like shaky and rubbish.
I
Um,
recently rode a bike and I was similar.
That's a I put Delia was like me. Yeah. My
no,
bum's
we
too
didn't
big
have
for a
that.
bike. They're not comfy.
I don't think they're really comfy for anybody. But no, we didn't have that scene. But the thing that really touched me about them was when they sat in the apartment that they were going to rent, and Delia was talking about all the things that she was looking forward to. She was like, I want to
Oh.
wake up and say good morning and smell coffee and a bit of bleach because I know you're here and you're always keeping everything so clean. And I want to put flowers in that vase by the window because it's so cheerful. And then when we come home, I want to say welcome home to you and then close the door. And I just was like,
And listen to
oh,
records and talk for hours.
yeah. And just have a place where they can truly just not have to censor themselves at all. Like they, literally like their own little haven, in that
Yeah.
apartment. And that they were really dreaming about it. And, Delia was the one who was kind of going on, but Patsy, you could tell, was just like imagining this future and just getting so excited about it.
I know. But so anyway, Delia's watch was not working and she didn't realise the time and she had to get going quickly. So Patsy was just like, take my bike. And she put a scarf on her. And then
Mm,
Delia went around the corner and got hit by a car, and it was absolutely horrendous. And my husband
it's
walked in just as
terrible.
that happened, and he was like, "No, it's not funny. This is like, I think he wasn't expecting it to be as serious as it was."
Well, this is the second time in a week that like one of your family members has walked in as you're watching the show, and it's like a very like a crazy intense scene when they come in.
Well, at least my daughter got the gravitas of it and was all respectful about it. So anyway, yeah. So, but
It
then
was
Sister
terrible. It
Winifred
was
sees
terrible.
the aftermath of the accident because obviously
Mhm.
there's no way Patsy'd know. There's no mobile phones. So Sister Winifred finds it, sees what's happening, sees the bike, recognizes it, and then sees the scarf, and it's Patsy's. So she then thinks
Mm.
it's Patsy.
Mm-hmm.
But then it cuts to a scene of Patsy ringing. So she's at an artist's house and they obviously realise who it is. So it's cut to a scene of her ringing the hospital, but no one will speak to her.
Mm.
But she rings and the doctor says, you a relative. I would have just said yes. Yes, I am.
Well, yes, because you're a wicked woman.
You're
I
on
was
the
thinking about
telephone.
this. You know Jenny and Alec?
What?
They let Jenny know about Alec.
Did they though? I think
Yeah. They got people to ring her and she ran to the hospital.
she went to the hospital and then she found out what was going on with
Is
him.
that different because she was his fiance?
She wasn't
No,
his
they weren't.
fiance though, was
They
she?
weren't ever engaged. No.
Oh.
See, I kind of saw it as like when Jenny got to the hospital,
No,
somebody
no,
from
Jenny
Nana's
was sent
house.
to the hospital. They rang Nana's house. Jenny was sent to the hospital because she was in that German birth at that time.
No, I know, but somebody at the hospital was somebody from the show, and they said to her, "Oh, I think it was Cynthia." They were like, "Oh, Alex in surgery, something,
No,
something,
she went.
something."
She went because they rang Nana's house. So she went until Jenny got there.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like when Jenny got there, she got the news about what was going on with Alec from somebody that she knew. So it wasn't like,
But
Yep.
also, like Peter and Dr. Turner were there when Alec was hurt, weren't they? So they could have
yeah,
passed the message back to Nana's house.
there was like a way. Yeah, exactly. There was kind of a
I'm just
workaround
saying
there.
equality for all. Do you know what I mean?
It really, truly, really, truly. I mean, the thing that was really
But I
heartbreaking
don't think
was,
they knew that Delia was a lesbian.
That's what I'm. Well, I know they didn't, but I just think it's really sad that they couldn't.
well,
Do you think her mum knew?
Yeah,
no. Oh, no, I don't think so. What made you think she knew?
just the way she looked at her when she was so upset,
Oh,
and also Delia not
I
knowing
didn't
her.
get that, but
Oh,
Oh, Delia
Delia
not
not
knowing her
knowing her
was
killed
heartbreaking.
me,
oh,
and not knowing her
geez.
mum. She's like, "No, Carriad, I'm your mum." And also,
Well,
I like the way her mum was like, "Paper handkerchiefs will never catch on."
I literally wrote that in my notes. Yeah. Paper tissues will never catch on.
But she's
The-
having seizures and everything.
yeah. I mean, the thing that was really sad to me was that Patsy had to, because the reason I didn't think that the mom knew that Delia was gay or that Patsy was the girlfriend was because she was like, "Oh, and who are you again?" And she says, "Oh, well, I work with Delia, da 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 da." And she said, "I'm Patsy." And she said, "Oh, yeah, you're the girl that does the Cubs with her." And she was like, "Oh, that's all that's the only way you've heard about me is like that." And I was like, you could tell she was kind of hurt, but then she also was like, she understood and everything. And then she kind of had to down, like, she's like, "Well, we're friends, but like that's it," kind of a thing. And then she goes in and she doesn't get recognized. Also, poor Delia looked terrible. I mean, she was so banged up and scraped up and everything like that. And she didn't understand who Patsy was, and she didn't understand who her mother was. And then after that, Patsy is like, "Well, something, something about Delia." And her mom's like, "Well, we're going to take her home back to Wales because that's what the specialist has recommended." And she says, "Oh, well, can I come and visit? Delia's always told me how beautiful Pembrokeshire is." And she's like, "Well, we'll have to see. I don't really know," or whatever.
You can
Again,
write.
yeah. And she says, "Well, can I call?" And then she says, "Well, we're not on the telephone, but you can write if you want to." And you can tell Patsy was just like, "This is the love of my life. Like, I don't want to be separated from her," but she just couldn't say any of that. And it was just
What was the
so
bit when she
tragic.
went back to the flat on her own and cleaned it and bleached it? And she
Oh,
was just alone crying in the flat all night cleaning it, which just sounds awful in itself, let alone the heartbreak. Um, but then the
oh,
flowers in the vase
I
on the
know.
Window.
windowsill when she obviously put the key back through, they got a very understanding landlord.
Oh,
Um,
I have something to
oh,
say about that when we talk about Fred and Violet, but I won't say it now. I'll say it at Fred and Violet time. But oh my God, absolutely sent me to the moon. It was just, I mean, I was already sobbing. I just kept on crying. It's this episode.
sad.
And then the look on her face after she was done, because she took like one last look at the apartment and then closed the door and then put the keys like through the letterbox. And then she just had this look of like resignation and like just, like, I mean, truly, like when you have a dream and it feels like it's coming true and then all of a sudden it's just dashed. I mean,
It was heartbreaking.
I can't say more. I mean, just my God,
No.
like,
Which one are we
oh.
doing next?
Mm.
Do you want to finish on Fred and Violet? So do you want to talk about Trixie?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
What
Well,
is
I
it
think
that
it was
pushes
very
Trixie over the edge? It's June and Kevin. Kevin's such an awful name. Apologies to any listeners.
we need to stop slugging names off here.
I know we're always telling people what bad names we think are bad. Oh.
Well, also, she saw Tom as well, didn't she? And she was like, "That's life, really, isn't it? I must go." So she was saying
Well,
about
the thing.
he was off to see a dead man, a man dying.
I'm
So,
off to see a dead man. I'll be back. Don't hold something for me.
you'll never guess where I'm going. Just going off to see a dead man. And she's like, "Well, do you know what? How weird! I've just seen a live baby."
Well, what cracked me up. It was not funny. It really like it didn't it. It's not funny, haha. It's funny like that kind of like thing that you have when you see somebody. But like Trixie's like she's literally like walking herself and her bike back into Nanada's house, and it's like it's a super super late. Like I kind of got like 3 to 4 a.m. kind of energy from this, and Tom is walking out
To see a dead man.
to see a dead man. And he's like, "Oh, Trixie," and she's like, "Oh, hi," and you can tell she's absolutely like beat. And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Where are you? Like, what? Like," he's like, "It's either really early or really late or something." She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I was just delivering a baby, and it's kind of whatever." And then he's like, "Oh, you look really tired," and I'm just like, "Tom, nobody needs to hear that from you. Okay, your ex-girlfriend does not need you to tell her that she looks really tired at 3 a.m. Okay, she's been working for like 4,000 hours." And then she's like, "Well, I was just delivering a baby." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, I'm off to see a dying man." And I just was, again, it was just so annoying. I was like, "Okay, we get it. Okay, like calm down. Like you're always off doing some do-goodery thing or like some helpful thing or like shepherding someone into the afterlife or whatever. Like just lay
Making
off or
soup
whatever."
for homeless people.
Yeah, exactly. Even though, oh, geez, the soup thing. Don't even get me
But
started on
she's
that
like,
soup.
"That's life, isn't it? Really, isn't it? I must go." Or he was saying that.
Well,
But
no,
basically,
she says like life is either you're leaving or you're coming into it.
yeah.
She's like life is really either dying or living, and that's kind of the two ends of the spectrum, and they're both either dealing with one or the other. So yeah, that's what she means when she says that.
So she's triggered. So
Yeah,
she's really down.
yeah, and she's just like, "Bye, I gotta go. I'll see you later." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then she walks into her room and does what?
I feel like I'm being tested. Becky, you answer.
Sorry, I just cut you off, so I didn't want to like keep telling the story, so I wanted to. Sorry, but
No, you carry on, Jen. You were doing
well,
well.
she walks into her room and she closes the door and she just has this moment where you're just like, and like we've all I don't know a person on earth who hasn't gotten to a certain stage in adulthood where you don't have one of those days where you just walk into like your house and you just like throw everything on the floor and you're just like, "Oh, I'm so done." Like, and you just are like, "I'm either gonna like I mean sometimes, and not everyone has an issue with drinking or whatever, but like you pour yourself a drink or you order takeout or you put on your comfy clothes because you're just like, I can't take it anymore and I just want something to like erase
Ice
whatever it is I
cream.
don't want to think of anymore." Yeah, eat a pint of ice cream or a gallon of ice cream, however much ice cream you want to eat, a whole sleeve of cookies, whatever it
Damn.
is you want. And Trixie just has this look and she kind of stops herself because she's like, "Oh, she's starting to feel like maybe there's something a little bit amiss here." But
But
then she
also,
just
just one note here. Did you notice how the whole episode started was her in the mirror, looking at herself, getting
Mhm.
ready, but she had a real sadness in her eyes. So carry
She
on,
really
sorry.
did. Yeah, exactly. She did. And there's even a line that mature Jenny says about confronting the truth of who you are in the mirror and whether
Yes.
you're going to face up to who you really are or you're just kind of glance at yourself and then move on basically.
Yeah.
Very very well put out. And so then Trixie walks over to her like little shelf of booze bottles that she has and a couple of glasses and she just pours herself like a really nice hefty pour of some brown liquor like whiskey or something like that and just drinks it straight down. And it was a really kind of shocking scene in a way because usually Trixie's drinking is always associated with socializing, having fun, getting ready for something, just like
Yeah.
it always seems like she's doing it in kind of a positive atmosphere, but this was literally a drink that the only reason for drinking was to just take away the to like numb yourself basically from the feelings
Mm.
that she's feeling. And I think that really shocked her. And if I'm correct, the next scene is of her on the phone calling the Samaritans. Is that right?
Yeah. You are correct. Yes.
Yeah,
And thank
yeah,
goodness she had to use the phone in the downstairs in Anata's house because then Sister Mary Cynthia hears the conversation.
Oh, she
yeah.
was so amazing as well.
I know.
Also, just a weird point that I've written here, but how lucky that Cynthia, not Cynthia, although was it lucky, but Patsy and Trixie had a night off each other because Patsy was there cleaning the flat that night. And then Trixie, although maybe it wouldn't have happened for Trixie actually, but I think it's good that it did. She then obviously was on her own drinking and then went down and rang herself. I don't think if Patsy was there, she might have tried to mask it, or I just think it's lucky that they had that convenient night apart.
I hadn't thought about that, but that's a really, really good point. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh.
also, so then they cut to a scene of her at the very end, which, can I just say, Helen George was amazing. Her
Oh,
monologue at the AA meeting, and she
so
absolutely
beautiful.
captured Trixie's essence, because she can be a bit of a madam sometimes, can't she, with the way she carries herself, but in a good way. That it's just the way she has. She's got a lot of grace and poise, and she's all about the show because she likes to be look good and all this. But the way she did it was absolutely amazing. I thought her monologue was really, really well done. So well done,
Mm.
Helen George. I know you're listening.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing I wanted to say about Trixie too, because I feel the same way as you guys, but the thing about that monologue at the end that was really heartbreaking was she kind of gives you can tell she's sitting in a room, I kind of thought of it as like an Alcoholics Anonymous type of group, because there are other
Yeah,
people
yeah,
around
defo
her.
was. Yeah.
And it was so stark, like the way that it was filmed as well. Like the lighting was really cold and like washed out and everything. She looked very pale, like, she had on lipstick and stuff, but she just looked very kind of just very pale and like ghostly and everything. She had on an all black outfit, like so austere, which is not usually like her. And then she kind of gave the history and talking about her dad and how, he came home from the war and turned to whiskey, and she could always kind of make him smile and was, like this sunshine girl and everything. But, she just had been struggling more and more. And then gets to the, kind of the end of it. And then she says, do I have to say it now? And nothing is said, but she kind of understood, that that's the next part of it. And she says, my name is Beatrix. Everyone calls me Trixie. I'm an alcoholic. And it was, it was a really important next step for her. And I was really glad in a way to see her finally confronting this issue that we've all been worried about on her behalf, this whole time, or for a long time anyway. But it was also just a really sad scene, because in a way, now the really hard part begins, because
Well,
there's
definitely. But also, I like the way she explained as well, like, she's become midwife and she's in the part of like a happy family just for what, even if it's just for like a couple of hours.
mm,
Ugh.
mm. Yeah, and that's all she's craving. She just wants to be part of a happy family where everything is going well. And in a way, it actually made me think about her and Tom a little bit differently as well, and like how she kind of was she like it made me feel sympathetic to her kind of going forward with him, even if maybe there were some issues that she wasn't confronting, because she did see the possibility of a happy, healthy lifestyle with him. And I will say this for Tom, there's one thing he absolutely is never going to do is have any kind of problem like that. You know what I mean? Like he has faults like everyone, but in terms of being like a stable, guy who's totally, on the straight and narrow, no drinking issues, no partying issues, no, I mean, he's a complete square. And I mean that in the best sense of the word. I really mean that in the best sense of the word. Like she was never going to have to worry about that with him. And I think that was incredibly attractive to her. And so yeah, it made me think about their relationship differently as well.
Yeah, it was just so
Mm.
sad. But I'm very, very pleased that she has done it. And also,
Yeah.
like, I was thinking about the Samaritans as well and how long that's been going.
A long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, but how amazing that she could call them in those days. Like, I didn't realize it was that, how long it had been
And in the
going.
middle of the night, because she's just got back from the birth.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, 24 hours a day.
Well, and she says she's like, is it okay that I want to live? I just want to stop. It's not that I want to die. I just want to stop drinking.
Yeah. Well,
And
also, Samaritans is relatively new. That was my point there. Sorry. It launched in 1953.
oh,
So it hadn't been going that long.
quite new. Okay.
And
Okay.
how weird's this? It was launched by a Reverend Chad Vara, and he was a young curate in the Diocese of Lincoln.
That's actually nice to know that somebody thought about that and did that, especially from the church where there can be a lot of
Well, its legacy lives on. It's still going very, very strong. So yeah.
yeah, supportive service like that. Very good to hear. Oh, okay, girls. Can we at least get to a storyline that has some kind of happy ending? Because oh my God, all these storylines have been so tough.
Well, should we talk about Chummy?
Yes,
Sure.
her
Because
arrival was lols.
Chummy has returned to Poplar.
Also, did you
From
notice the hair, girls?
Yeah,
she's got
longer. Yeah.
Thicker. Well, that's have you seen the film Spy with her in?
Yes, I have
No.
seen that.
That's her hair. You should watch it, Bex. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. It's really,
It's
really
really
funny.
good. It's really good.
He's in that.
It's got Melissa McCarthy in it and Jason Statham in it, and he is
With a Eurovision favourite. Yeah. So
And he's actually very funny in that movie too, which really made me laugh.
Yeah, it's really, really good. But anyway, her arrival was hilarious. Firstly, I noticed the hair, obviously, because of the film Spy. I thought this must be around the time you're filming Spy, hence why you were
Yeah.
probably filmed in a pew on your own in another episode earlier.
Yeah.
But the way she was arrived with Freddie in the car, and they're talking about potty training and that massive weird wooden contraption, the toilet
The
seat.
toilet seat.
Oh, see, we didn't get that scene. When I saw her, she just came in with the cake tin that had her mom inside of it.
Yeah,
So
no, she did.
Peter drops her off in the car,
Oh,
and
we
they're talking about how they're trying to potty train Peter, and then
you mean Freddie?
Freddie.
Maybe both.
Hey, I've heard he leaves loads of stuff on the floor.
But then Peter drives off, and she's still got the toilet seat. So did you notice that she carried a toilet seat into Nana's house?
I did not pick up on that one. No, I must have missed it. I wasn't looking good enough. I just saw her with the coat and the cake tin, and she had other stuff in her arms that she put down.
Yeah, one of them was a toilet seat. She took it with her by accident.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's so funny.
It was.
Oh man. I will say at the end of the episode, Freddie looked still like a baby to me. I thought whoever they had playing Freddie at the very end looked way too young for potty training. But anyways, that's by the by. But she comes in and she's got a cake tin, and Sister Monica Joan is like, "Oh, what should we have here?" And then she opens it up and she's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry."
That was a bit annoying, really. They had more warning. She had well more warning to tell Sister Monica Joan. Like, she just kept going on about cake and stuff. She should have been, oh, sorry, no, in there's my mum's ashes. But no, she just let her carry on and open it.
I agree. But you know what? This is kind of the one time where, even though you're exactly right, I'm glad that Sister Monica Joan, got a bit of a surprise, because that woman opens a cake tin everywhere she goes, and it's like, one of these days you're going to open the cake tin that you really should not be opening, and you need to have.
Did.
I know, but I'm like,
she was like, "Oh, we have guests of uncommon appetite today." Like, loads of words coming out of Sister Monica Jones' mouth. Not for 1 second. Chummy didn't say anything. She had loads of opportunities to. It really annoyed me.
She did, but Sister Monica Jones needs to learn to not open every single cake tin that's within her arm's reach.
I feel
not learn by 4 scores and 10. She's not gonna.
I'm totally the Sister Monica Joan in this situation, because whenever I go to my sister-in-law's, I'm like, "Oh, what have you been baking?"
So Chummy.
So she's staying there because she's doing a refresher course or something at London, isn't she?
Yeah.
Because she's staying in an artist, because she has been working at the mother and baby's home. She's left Avril in charge, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But there's a really lovely scene with Chummy and Trixie as well that we spot to speak about when we spoke about Trixie. And Trixie's in a room. And Chummy says to her, "Oh, you're hungover," because she's mixing egg whites. And I think that struck a chord with Trixie as well. She's like, I've not even gone to bed yet. I've not, she was a bit annoyed about that. With the mask of egg whites. Now, that was really funny, because they had this chuckle about the fact that Mum said about, have one of these scones, because your face will suffer, no one can see your bum, kind of thing.
Meaning, give your face a little extra padding to soften the wrinkles, but your bum you have to sit on, so no one will be looking at that.
Yes. But also, they were still joking about her mother's ashes, and she was like, "Oh, I want to do it somewhere she loved," but I think the food court at Fortnum and Mason.
Yeah, I really like that scene between them. The way that they were laughing was so sweet and companionable. And even though Trixie, is in a tough time, she had a lightness with Chummy that felt really nice,
giggle
actually. Yeah.
Well, also, I've got one more thing to add. We were talking about my family members walking in. My
daughter also. Oh, walking in on the episode while you're watching it. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. My daughter walked in as well on this bit, and she asked, they were talking about ashes, because I told her about ashes with the caravan and stuff. My daughter walked in, and she was watching for she wasn't watching. She was kind of just drawing next to me or whatever. And then she was like, "Is that the caravan woman with the ashes?" And I was like, "No, I should not be watching this near you. You're 5." But then they also did show Chummy and Peter and baby Freddie getting rid of the ashes. Is not. I'm not. Honestly, what is wrong with me today? Why am I saying dead man getting rid of the ashes? scattering her mum's ashes, but they did a really bad green screen over old London. Did you see it? Did you see that scene?
Well, I did notice that they did it up near Tower Bridge. That they didn't just do it in Poplar,
like at the docks or whatever. But see, the thing
Yeah.
is, I didn't see Freddie and Peter with her in our scene. It was like her just at the edge of the London Thames River, and then that was it. We didn't get Peter and Freddie in that scene with us, but that was fine. I didn't need them to be there. I mean, what was funny though is that that scene was very touching when she scatters the ashes into the river, and
gets rid. Do the proper terms, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. When she just throws them away. But there's something I have to say about that in terms of the Fred storyline. But what was funny in that scene watching it was that we were watching it and like the tears are streaming down my face, and I'm like, oh my God, she's finally found a way to like, let go of her mom and put the ashes, in a place and everything like that. And then my mom, who's watching the episode with me, speaking of family members who watch it with us, she goes,
yours is appropriate though.
But like Chummy is like very serious, she's like very somber, and she's like holding the urn, and she's kind of looking out over the water and everything like that. And then my mom goes, do you think that's a green screen that she's standing in front of, or do you think she's really there? And I was like, oh mother. I'm like, yes, it's definitely a green screen.
It's the worst green screen I've ever seen.
I'm like, you can literally almost see the background like flapping in the way. I mean, like, it's the most. I'm like, you can see. I was like, it's the most green screen thing I've ever seen in my whole life. But like, I was like, yes, mother. But my mom, she the other thing my mom always asks me when we watch TV, she's like, is that lady's real hair? Or do you think she's wearing a wig? And I'm always like, oh, mother. And most of the time people are wearing wigs, but I just am like, but she always.
You know what? I've been thinking the same thing about Trixie in this, because I think Trixie's in a wig.
She very well could be. Yeah. Especially with some of that big bouffant style.
Yeah, I just think it's so, I mean, when she's got a bob, like fair dues, but I just think it's so 60s, and the fringe and the,
well, do you know
almost a bowl style to it.
Do you know who's definitely in a wig? Is Barbara. 1000% is in a wig.
What do you think?
Oh my God, yes. If you look at her hair and how like thick and hard it is, and then you look at the real woman who plays Barbara, who I love and is an absolute stunningly beautiful woman, but her real hair is not anything like Barbara's at all. Like there is no way that Barbara's
anything. I'm rubbish on stuff like this.
Oh, Barbara is definitely wearing a wig. 1000%.
Also, Helen George now in real life, like I'm fast forwarding 10 series. But where in real life she's got dark brunette hair now. We'll have to look out, see if it's a wig for the next series, the next recording.
I did not know she's got brunette hair at the moment.
Yeah, she has.
Well, she's been a platinum blonde for 10 years, I think, in real life. So it would be nice to have a change, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, so Chummy is kind of like lamenting throughout her time in the show, in this episode, of like what to do with her mom, because she doesn't know how to really properly like
get rid of the ashes.
Honor her by getting rid of the ashes in a way that really feels like appropriate. So that's what she's grappling with. So now cue to Fred and Violet, because Fred and Violet are happy. The episode starts and they are going to Nana's house to have their kind of engagement party and everything, which also looked lovely. And
girls, can we just talk about something really quick though? So I just love this storyline so much. But also, it's been someone's birthday this week on this podcast. Do you want to say who it is?
Whose birthday?
It was me.
Now, happy birthday. But anyway, I got some flowers sent to you, but not real flowers. They're bulbs. But I can never pronounce it. Is it Delia or Dahlia?
Dahlia. I'd pronounce it I'd pronounce it Dahlia, but that might be my accent. So let's give Bex this one and say Delia.
I would say Delia. Yeah, Alex sent me some Delia tubers because I love a Dahlia.
Yes.
A Dahlia. I love a Dahlia.
That is not your accent at all. But when Violet first went in with cut dahlias, and she was all like, "Oh, I just think I'm really nervous because they're going to think, oh, how very extravagant cut dahlias," and it did make me think of you, Beck.
But I wonder if it is extravagant, because I feel like someone would have grown them on an allotment or something. So I wasn't around in the 1960s, so I don't know how extravagant it would have been.
Well, also they might have not been that common then. I don't know the origins of dahlia.
Are dahlias your favorite, Bex?
I do love a dahlia, yeah.
Well,
Look at me
I feel
knowing that.
I feel like in later seasons, they have a bit. Oh, they are so pretty. Oh, yep, 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 yep. Oh, they're gorgeous. Everyone who's listening, Google dahlias because my goodness, you get some lovely pictures. But the thing is, I feel like on later seasons they have like a little garden area that's kind of like to the front. Like if you're looking at Nanada's house, it's to the left side when you're staring at the front door, and there's like a lot of stuff that seems to happen over there in like later seasons. And one of the things
Yeah.
I feel like they do is grow a lot of flowers in that portion of the little front
Well,
garden that they
also,
have.
if you notice, that's also where the school was in
Yeah,
this series, and then it
yeah,
suddenly replaced with a flower and allotment, flower garden
yeah,
allotment.
yeah, it does change. Oh, but okay, but so just to say, so Fred and Violet go in and and Violet's really nervous about, like, is everyone going to think it's okay that we're getting married? And are they going to be happy? I don't really know, blah, blah, blah. And Fred's like, no, 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 it'll be fine. And Violet's wearing a beautiful dress and he's got a great suit on and they just look so great. And they have this party and everyone's really happy for them and everything. Well, then Chummy comes in and she's kind of chatting and stuff like that. And they find out Fred mentions that his daughter, one of them lives in Australia, and Marlene, the one that was in Canada, is actually back living in England now, but she's coming to Poplar like today or tomorrow or whatever in the
Oh no, he doesn't
episode.
know. He doesn't know she's
Oh,
coming.
he
He's like
doesn't
she's
know she's
settled.
coming.
No, he's like she's settled in Birmingham.
Oh,
Dolly
but we
will only have just got the letter, so they obviously don't have the phone or anything, so they won't know until they get a letter back. And he's
Oh,
like,
okay.
but Marlene is settled in Birmingham, but we've not heard from her yet.
Right, but she must know that we're engaged at this point. Okay. And so then in the next scene, Fred is in his house and he's like ironing a shirt and then the door opens and it's Marlene and she's come back for a visit and he's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Well, I had to check up on you, Dad, and find out what's going on here and everything like that." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So they start sitting down and talking and then he kind of tells her the whole plan about marrying Violet and he's going to move into Violet's apartment that she has above her shop. And she's like, "Oh, well," and at first you're kind of thinking like, because she's like, "Well, she expresses concern about this plan basically." And my thought initially was that she was worried that somehow Violet was going to take advantage of Fred. Like that's kind of how I saw it. But then what we realize is that that's not what she's thinking at all. And she goes to Violet and kind of
Oh,
makes,
she's an absolute cow.
yeah,
She
she's
goes
She
really
into
is.
terrible.
Violet. She is. She's awful. She's like goes into Violet's shop and she's like, gets her cigarettes out, and
That this
Violet's like,
got me when Violet basically asks her not to smoke in the politest way possible,
she's like, I
and
Yeah.
don't
she
care for
still
smoking
does
in the
it.
shop. Yeah, it gets in the wool, and she's like, these are mentholated. It's quite a pleasant aroma. You're just like, oh, you are, oh, horrible, horrible. And then she goes on about how she was like, oh, quite a team, you and Mr. G, weren't you? Were you tripe with you with this and him with this tripe shop? Blech. Tripe
We all
shop.
know how we feel about tripes in
It's
this.
tripe. Is it called tripe in America as well?
Yeah, probably. I
Possible,
mean,
possible.
I don't think of tripe as being a thing as much,
No,
but
we don't. We don't. It's not like we have it every meal, Jen. Do you know what I mean?
wait. Okay, remember the couple that had was that what was it tripe that where Trixie had to deliver the baby in that fish smokehouse? Kippers? That was Kippers.
Kippers. That's fish.
Kippers.
Yeah.
Kippers are different than tripe.
Yeah.
Tripe's cow stomach.
Oh, yeah, no, Americans don't really do tripe. No. I mean, I'm
Neither the
sure
Brits now.
well, the thing is, I'm sure there are places in da 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 da, but like I'll tell you what, like no, 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 no. Like tripe
You know,
is really
there's a
not
tripe shop in Southport still.
a whole shop
Oh,
devoted to tripe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, anyway, apparently Mr.
I'm
G
gonna
and
need some
her.
of that Distaval if we keep talking about this. Like
Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
I'm able to keep my stomach down.
so
Oh,
apparently Mr. G and her were quite the team. Her with their buttons and ribbons shop, and him with his tripe.
ugh.
And then she said, "Oh, what is it? My dad said a proper little gold mine. What a
Yeah.
cow!"
And Fred
And
never
then
said that, right?
no, of course he didn't. No, she's just a
No,
horrible
she's
little
just being
cow.
horrible.
And
Yeah.
also, how nice was Dolly? It's such a shame it was Marlene who came. Anyway,
Mm,
so then she starts talking about ribbons, and Mrs. G's all Violet's so lovely, being like, "Oh yeah, I remember your mum used to come in, and one had sky blue and one had yellow or whatever ribbons." And she's like, "Yes, yeah,
yeah.
sky blue, like your mother's eyes," and just basically trying to basically say that you shouldn't be getting married and putting doubt into Violet. And would you know what did annoy me about this?
Yeah.
That Violet allowed doubt in it because the episode before she was a bit
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here? Is this real or not? And he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it is real. Yeah, we're getting married. And then she let Marlene do that.
and actually, when Fred says that Marlene can be quite a hand. I can't remember how he phrases it.
A little madam.
Yeah, and Violet's actually very like she says she isn't being a madam when that's exactly what she's being.
Yeah, she had a flaming fag in a shop. I'd stub it
Well,
out on
also,
her forehead.
You know what line really made me laugh was that was that when she
It was a
says
bit
like
violent.
like she said all this other horrible stuff and everything. She's lit the cigarette, and then another lady opens the door and comes in, and she says, "Okay, well, I'll be off. I'll leave you to your clientele." And like, I was like, "Clientele? Excuse me." Like, it was one of those things. I was just like, "You're being insane."
Well, then there's the next scene that broke my heart, which was so Violet's sat on a chair. She's obviously not a chair, a bench, like an outdoor bench. And she's obviously arranged to meet with Fred. And the sun, he's like, "Oh, I love the sun shining down on your hair." And I was like, oh. And then she's like, and he was like, "I thought we fitted together. I don't know what's going on." She was like, "Have you made any provisions for your retirement?" And he's like, "Well, I thought I'd open a quail shop or something." Like just ridiculous suggestions. And he was like, "I thought we fitted together. I thought this was us. I thought this is what we wanted." And she walks off. And then God, it was just so heartbreaking. And then cut to a scene of Fred in his vest.
Oh, bless him.
At
home, just
just to say really quick, so two really minor notes. I really don't need to say this, but I can't help myself. Fred, after Marlene's visit to Mrs. G, Fred comes in and he brings Violet some meringues because he knows they're her favorite from the bakery, and he's like, "Oh, I brought these to you. Like, I thought I was passing by, I wanted you to have these or whatever." And he said, he's like, I just want to tell you, like, I'm so excited for our like morning constitutionals. They just love going for walks in the mornings together and everything. And then he gives her a kiss on the cheek and he says, "Oh, we can paper the walls with all that." And she's holding a stack of bills, and he just says it as a lighthearted thing to just be like, "Oh, like, so glad we're like everything is being really successful in the shop." But she takes it completely the wrong way, and then he's out the door and whatever, she's got the
only
pain
because
look
she's
on
had
her
the
face.
seed planted by horrible Marlene.
Exactly.
But also, can I just say Marlene as well, a little madam? He's all miserable because she's caused it. And then she moves out because she's fed up of looking at his long face.
I know. Yeah, and but then the thing is, he says like, "Oh, she comes back every single day to like kind of like check in on me, but like also to be like, oh, you're still depressed? Okay, well, I'm out of here, And so they have the scene on the bench where they break up and everything, and then this is what I had wanted to mention about Patsy and Delia is that then Fred just kind of there's this not monologue, montage that starts with like music over the top of it, where Fred is just like looking longingly into Violet's shop, and then kind of like walking around Poplar with like nothing to do, just kind of kicking cans out of the road, just like a long face. And then it's intercut with Patsy and Delia I almost said Dahlia, looking for their flat and everything. And the thing that I wrote down is so the song that is playing while that montage is happening is called "The Little Things That Mean a Lot," and it says, "Tell me I look nice when I'm not. Like, you say you're gonna call and then you follow through. Like, you take me out to dinner and I love you." Like, it's this really, really sweet little song. And if anyone like didn't hear it when they were watching, like, I really encourage you to listen to the song because it's really, really lovely. But the thing that I like about it is that it connects the two couples, and one is going through their heartbreak now, and the second one is going to be going through their heartbreak in a little bit. And the thing that they both want is just this really foundational companionship that the other person provides. I mean, they're absolutely in love. It's romantic love. All that kind of stuff is great. But it's like they both just miss their partner in life and everything. And they're both kind of going through it. And it just was like both a perfect song and like a really sweet little song. But then to think about the way that like both of these couples are kind of like pulled apart and brought together in the episode in different ways.
Well, also who brings Violet and Fred back together?
Chummy.
Well, chummy, yeah, 100% chummy, but also chummy has a word with Marlene, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
And that was amazing.
Marlene is really the one that has to. I mean, okay, Chummy in this scene is so brilliant because she goes in to see Fred because Sister Monica Jones has been complaining about how she's freezing because the boiler isn't working. So Chummy's like, "All right, I'm going to go to investigate." So she goes to talk to Fred to see what's going on with him because they said, oh, he's had a long face and everything like that. And and then she's like, well, everyone's freezing at Nonna's house because the boiler's broken. And he says, oh, he's like, the man I took over from 15 years ago said I'd have to tend to it every day. It's just like a ill-tempered woman. And he said, I never knew what that phrase meant until this week. And you're just like, wow, well, amazing you went that long without knowing. But anyways, and then Chummy sits down and is like, what's going on? And he kind of explains like the whole thing. And she's like, okay. She's like, I think I know what we need to do. And so Chummy, Marlene, and Fred all sit down for a cup of tea. And Chummy's like, okay, we're going to hash this out and everything. And basically what happens is Marlene tells Fred, listen, like, you getting married to Violet and you leaving this place, like this is the house where we've lived, like where we put our family back together after the war.
Oh,
like,
it was such a heartbreaking, lovely scene.
It was really beautiful, but it was like I like, if we lose this, then we like gonna like lose mom all over again. And he was like, he's like, I know, but
it was also like, she never lived here.
She
was like, your mum never lived here. There was nothing there. Like our flat was absolutely gone during the Blitz, but you went half an hour later and there was nothing there. And she's like, sometimes I think it's only the river that stays the same.
Okay, yes, all of that is true. I'm just gonna re-say it in my own words because I just can't get over the scene. But anyways, but he's like, but your mom never lived here. And she's like, I know, but she's like, every time I come home and there's something else gone, it's like there's a bigger gap in our lives from her. And she's like, I just don't know how to feel about that. Like, it makes me feel my grief all over again. And he's like, I know. He's like, sometimes I feel like nothing stays the same except maybe the river. And that's kind of also a through line with Chummy, because then she ends up letting her mom's ashes go into the Thames River, which is kind of another way that they connect, the fact that like everything changes, but there's at least some constancy that you can find in that, kind of natural. Anyways, the river. That's very ineloquent. It's very, very ineloquent. But like the river is always there. Like it's a constant.
Oh, see what you mean, right? Natural.
Yeah, like it's kind of it's like a natural
habitat.
Element, like a geological whatever. I don't know what word I'm trying to find. I don't think I'm saying this very well. But I, for my own self, just watching that scene really broke my heart, because you like when you lose someone, you lose them over and over and over again, and every time it's painful. And there's lots of different griefs that you have to go through. And like even though her mom has been gone now for almost 20 years. I mean, like it's 1960-ish, and like, the Blitz happened in like the early 40s and everything like that. I mean, she's been gone a long, long, long time. But like the thing that she couldn't admit to herself until they had this heart to heart, which was really productive and beautiful, was that was the reason that she didn't want Fred to move out of the flat. That was the reason she didn't want him to get married to Violet. She didn't want her mother's memory to be, lost all over again in this way that then she would never be able to get it back. And like she had to have that kind of realization that even though everyone's moving on, like, she can still have her mother around. And then what she says when she goes to Violet is, my mom would have absolutely reamed me out if she knew how I acted to you when I had come here, after, you announced your engagement to my dad. And she's like, so on behalf of her, like knowing how she would have wanted me to behave, I'm so sorry. Can you please forgive me?
She did save the day there. She did. I did have respect for her, because she was so horrific before.
Yeah.
So horrific.
But also talk about a 180. She really turned it around.
But then they had that bit where they say, I believe in the films, they say your place or mine. And he'd say, I'd live in a ditch if it was with you. And Chummy's like, right answer.
Oh.
And then we had the wedding. And I've written here, loved it. Cold spread for Bex.
Yeah.
And a big frosting cake. Yeah.
I also loved going back to when Patsy was going to move out, when Sister Julianne was like, you will come back and join us every day for lunch. And if it was me, I would have been like, absolutely.
Love a free lunch.
But also the other thing that I've got my notes here about the engagement cake, just really quick. Trixie was so petulant and ridiculous about the silver board, and she was like, "Well, is that not silver board from my engagement cake?" And Sister Winifred's like, "It cost $2.11."
But also, all of those, but I mean, they look identical to what you can buy nowadays.
Exactly.
Like,
well, then
how would you even know?
I know, but Barbara put her foot in it, but was amazing at the same time, being like, "I'm sure it won't bring them bad luck or anything."
Oh, I was just so glad they followed through with it and got married.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. And I really liked the blue outfit.
Yeah. Oh, the wedding was perfect. Like it was exactly what you would hope. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just lovely. Oh, and then it was actually really sweet because Marlene had, said all that stuff to, get them back together, and then that kind of repaired Marlene and Violet's relationship with each other. And so then they're standing there and they're talking about like wedding outfits and everything. And Chummy was there, I think, too.
Yeah, she
But
was.
she says something about the hat, the pillbox hat that they're going to wear. It's like, she's like, I don't know what to put on it. It's too plain and everything. I've got to have something. And then Violet says to her, she's like, how about something sky blue for your mother's eyes? And she pulls out a piece of braid that goes around the edge of the hat. And it was like a way of Violet also kind of remembering her mom in that moment as well, which was,
let's be honest, girls, there's a reason we love this show. It's because it's bloody brilliant.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Heroes and zero. Who's going first?
I think we know who's not going first, so
I'll go. My zero is Marlene.
Yeah.
For just waltzing back in. I totally get where she was coming from, but to have been away, not understand the relationship that Violet and Fred have, to just waltz back in. Yeah, Marlene. And then my hero is going to be Barbara.
Nice.
Ooh.
For really advocating for Maureen.
Love it. And going the extra mile for her.
Yeah, when everybody else was so dismissive of her.
Yeah, I agree.
Going the extra mile is Barbara's middle name. She's so good.
I just love her. I'm gonna say me next, because let's be honest, the more time you've got, the better, Jen. My
You're
hero,
exactly right. Yep.
My hero's Chummy for sorting it all out. I know it was technically Marlene at the very end, but she had to be basically accosted by Chummy and shamed into doing it. So Chummy is my hero of the day. Also, I really like the toilet on her arm. That just made me laugh. The zero of the. Also, she did get her stuff done that she had hanging over as well. So good on you, Chummy. My zero, again, exactly same as Bex. It was Marlene. It was the proper little gold mine comment. What a calculated little cow. Really annoyed me. I didn't like her. I much prefer her sister Dolly. And I think Fred
who we've never met.
We met her. She had the baby Anthony.
Remember he was like rolling around in the back of the truck and she was busting for a wee when she came in?
Oh
yeah. Becky does have a terrible, terrible memory, everyone.
Also, the way you said "oh yeah" made me think you absolutely still did not remember who we're
No, I
talking
do
about.
remember. I do remember because Chummy again was heavily involved because she brought Anthony to the hospital every day.
Well, she gave birth on the same day as her as well.
But she brought Anthony to the hospital so that she could see it.
But also Freddie was born the same day as Daphne, and they had the joint christening.
Oh yeah. I've got the memory of Delia these days.
Yeah, post-accident. Oh my goodness. Okay, my zero is going to be not her, but Trixie's alcoholism and the fact that she had to hit rock bottom. I know it's a part of what you have to go through to deal with, substance abuse, and I know that she's kind of beginning her journey now to recovery and everything, but her story just really broke my heart, and just really felt for it a lot. And the scene where she was kind of going to the meeting for the first time, I thought was very, very touching and very, very well done by the show and by Helen George and, all around, but still just really made me so sad. And I just really felt for her. So I'll say that's my zero. Again, not Trixie, but what Trixie's going through. And then my hero, I'm going to say, is the Dylans, Kevin and June Dillon, because
I love them.
I love them. Like, they didn't have a huge storyline, but like their love story was so beautiful. Like, even that, the little glimpses into it that we got, I just thought someone going out of their way to now. Again, I mean, he learned sign language for her, but like he could have done other things. But like someone like meeting you and feeling so strongly that they want to connect with you, that they will like literally learn a language so that they can, get to know you and be close to you. I just thought, oh my God, that is so romantic, like just so beautiful. Love that. And then her speech about wanting to connect with her child and, both her hope and her fear about that experience was just so thoughtful and beautiful and so well written, and it just really touched me, and it gave me insight into an experience that I have never had, and probably in my life, God willing, I will never have to have, but I just thought shining a light on that was so wonderful, and I just love them, and I just want them to have a really happy life. And
but also I didn't say this earlier, but for Kevin Dillon, the fact that he's going to be there at the birth, which is not the norm, but that's in the privacy of their own home, the fact that he goes so far out of his comfort zone to come along to that class with her beforehand with all those women,
Oh, see, we didn't get that scene. Yeah, but that's him to a T, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
It is. It is. To be fair, I did love him as well. Right, ladies, I'm just going to do something really different right now. Not really different. I've done it loads of times before. I don't know why I said it was really different. But I've got messages from people on social media. Now, this is from Bonnie Robbins Reedy. I just love. Thank you so much, by the way, everyone, for all your comments, for following us, for listening to us. I just love it. But she says here, really enjoy the podcast. Why, thank you. I listen on my way to work, and it helps put a smile on my face. This is the bit that's relevant. But that was gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. More compliments, please, everyone. By the way, it is perfectly safe for Jenn to take up to 800 milligrams of ibuprofen at a time. That is the dosage for prescription strength Motrin, which is ibuprofen. So thank you, Bonnie. I'm glad that Jen's not dying. Now we've got one here from Stephanie Campbell-Weitzman. This was from YouTube. She says other stuff which we're going to mention in the listener special, but she's put here, love you three in your discussions of this wonderful TV series. Keep up the great work. So thank you so much.
Oh, love it.
We've got Sherry Vokes, who can I just say big shout out to Sherry. She always is there on Facebook, just telling people to listen to us, and I just love her.
Oh, hero.
Says, give it a try. Give Recall the Midwife a try. These girls crack me up every week. Love you, Sherry. Thank you so much.
Oh, Sherry.
Rebecca Golden Stockton said, my favourite thing to do is to listen to as I do my Sunday food prep and cooking. Thank you, Rebecca. Love it. Honestly, this
cook at
making
the
me
same
so big-headed. I love it. Now, this one
God.
made me lol, and I have actually sent this to you, but I'm going to read this out. So Elizabeth Irwin on YouTube said, my first tuning into your podcast, oh, you three had me in stitches. May I ask how old or young you three are? You sound very much like 20-somethings, and I find it utterly delightful. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Do we have a new favorite listener of all time? Oh my god! I know,
but she says here, as an American, I find the perspectives and humour of Bex and Alex to be utterly hilarious. Well, hello, so do we. Interestingly, I'd watched this exact episode last evening. Was so appreciate your perspective. Keep up the fantastic words, ladies. I will be tuning in. Cheerio. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. We are, in fact, 21. Yes.
Yes. I haven't seen a moon darken the earth beyond my 21 years.
Yeah, we were born on leap year. That's how we're 21.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is another one.
12 leap years ago.
This is another one I wanted to know your thoughts, ladies. So Marie Allen on Facebook says, I need a video of you girls doing at least one podcast you've seen. Look at me today. Or maybe you could show us a screenshot of one of your Zoom calls. I've been wanting to see you since I started listening to the podcast, which I started about 4 days ago, and I'm on the second part about the book, listening right now. I feel like I know you already. Well, thank you so much, Marie. We'll see what we can do. You've already had a photo of me with an Easter bonnet on.
No, I've actually had an idea, which I probably shouldn't pitch this on the podcast. But I did think that when it comes to the Christmas special, we could do like a live.
Okay.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, we should do that.
That's a good one. Yeah,
I can and get ready.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll save the others till next week. But we've been going on for too long, so we're going to have to go. But I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone, and we will mention other people who've mentioned us, but thank you so much.
Yeah,
we do.
But yeah, like, subscribe, rate us, but thank you so much for listening. And next week, it is the Christmas special.
Yep.
Oh, I love a Christmas special.
We love you all. Bye.